Hola, mi amigos. How are you doing? It's 11/9, 2019, November 9th. Fun fact 11/9 is the anniversary of the birth of communism. No, wait. It might have been when the wall fell in Berlin. The death of communism. 11/9. 9/11? Coincidence? No. From what I've heard. From what I've heard. 11/9, 9/11. Not a coincidence. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Remember that? Probably not. Because you probably weren't born. But back in the 80s, there was a wall in the middle of Germany, Berlin, separated the East from the West, communism from capitalism, democracy from dictatorship. 11/9 is when it fell. Fun fact. Well, hello. How are ya? It's Saturday, and so far it's been a wild one because of college football. Here's what crazy things happened today already, and the day's not over. Crazy thing number one. But is it really that crazy when you really think about it? No. And yet, damn, I wish I would have placed a bet. Penn State lost to number 17, Minnesota. But number 17, Minnesota, is undefeated and in the Big Ten. 9-0 now. They were 8-0. So when you think about it, it was really disrespectful to have them ranked 17, and it's just because they haven't done anything for years. And because all the good teams they've played this year have had backup quarterbacks in, and people have been like, well, it's because all the good teams they've played this year have had backup quarterbacks in. Well, this week they played a starting quarterback of the number 4 ranked team by the committee in the playoff by the committee, and they beat him. Stayed undefeated. 17 now looks like a pretty foolish ranking. This is what I love about college football. Upsets. Upsets are what I love about college football. Big time. That's what's magical about college football is, you know, the system is kind of set up, to favor certain teams, especially if you're in the SEC. The system loves the SEC. The system has a crush on the SEC. It does. The media, is always talking about how the SEC is the best conference of college football the world has ever known. It gets too much credit. Oh, way too much. So, of course, if you got like 4 of your teams in the top 10, you're going to get someone in there. And they always do. But look at the way the SEC schedules. A lot of their teams schedule mamby-pambies. Then when they got to play someone real, i.e. Alabama versus LSU, they lose. LSU's looking good this year. I think they're a true number 1. They're going to be number 1 next week. Even though Ohio State scored 76 on Maryland, they're going to fall to number 2. And they shouldn't, but they will. LSU will be the new number 1 because they beat Alabama, who was many people's number 1. LSU will be the new number 1. Ohio State will be 2. I think Clemson will be 3. And unfortunately, I think Georgia will be 4. They shouldn't be. They're not the true 4. But Utah and Oregon were off this week, and they were 7-8. So they'll have a thing to say about it next week. You can kind of look and see how this thing will pan out week by week. I wonder if the committee talks about this. This is why I love college football, because convoluted as the system is, you can talk about it for just hours. And I love that. I love that. I love college football because it's entertaining. A team I hate and at the same time pity is BYU. I hate BYU. I used to like them, but it was back in the 90s when Lavelle Edwards was the coach. And, it kind of climaxed when BYU played in the Cotton Bowl, beat Kansas, and ended the year at number 4. And they had a running back named Luke Staley. And their quarterback was Steve Sarkisian. And if you followed him, interesting story. But back to the present, they drive me crazy now. Ever since they dropped out of the conference and wanted to be independent, that's when I really started to hate them. I kind of liked them up until they dropped out of being in a conference altogether. They could have stayed in the Mountain West when Boise joined. And then that would have made that conference unbelievable. Utah left for the Pac-12, and you can't blame them. And TCU left for the Big 12, and you can't blame them. But BYU left to become an independent, and you can blame them. Because their fucking football program has been a fucking joke and a mockery, really, in my opinion, ever since. A fucking mockery. It's stupid. I hate it. They play a list of exhibition games in hopes of scoring an okay exhibition game in a bowl game. They're never going to get in the playoff, never going to get in the New Year's Six. It's boring and stupid, and I fucking hate it. BYU football. Fuck you. Yeah. If you made it this far in the vlog, you were ready for that. BYU football is stupid. It's fucking stupid. Because it's a bunch of exhibition games. There's no context. College football is fun because the games fall into the context of a conference, which is a league. Your team, unless you like BYU, plays teams that are in its league. And if they beat them, they get to be in a championship game. And if they win that, they win the conference. And if your team wins its conference, that's huge. Anything after that's a bonus. Now, what you would hope if you like a team that's in the group of 5 is that your conference championship team is also the highest ranked group of 5 team, and they would get into the Cotton Bowl. But what you want is for them to get into New Year's Six Bowl. I'm a Boise State fan, so that is the experience for me, hoping that they can be the best conference champion and get into a New Year's Six. If you are a fan of a Power 5 team, which I am, my favorite Power 5 team is Utah. I've been following them, and see, they left the Mountain West for the Pac-12, and that was cool. It's like, wow, Utah really stepped up into a bigger and better conference. Pac-12, it's huge. It's fun. It's so cool to see them do that. And I love it. I love it. If they went out, they could be in the playoff. They're 8, and the team in the Pac-12 is the top of the other division, is Oregon, and they're 7. And most likely, Utah's going to meet Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. And hopefully the winner of that game will get a berth into the playoff. And I'd be happy with either. Oregon or Utah, that's great. I like both teams. Look at the difference. I love Utah's path. Love TCU's path. Even though I kind of hate TCU because they're a rival. Boise and, ooh, there's been some games. But because TCU is in the Mountain West and followed that path and made it into a bigger conference, I like them. Now, BYU didn't get offered a spot in a bigger conference. And because of that, they were a bitch. They were pissed because they thought they were just as good as Utah and TCU. And since they didn't get offered a spot, they were a fucking bitch. And they're like, we're going to become an independent. And that's why I hate BYU. BYU's stupid because they became an independent because they were pissed that they didn't get a spot in a big conference like Utah and TCU did when the three of them were the top three teams in the Mountain West. Okay? That's what happened. I watched very close. That all happened around the time between 2008 and 2010. And BYU just acted like little bitches. And BYU, it should be the BYU Bitches. The BYU Bitches. That'd be way better than the BYU Cougars. The BYU Bitches. Hey, BYU fans, you and your team, you're a bunch of little bitches. BYU Bitches. Peace out.